Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you need to develop into a better leader, this podcast is for you. If you want to achieve a greater level of success, this podcast is for you. His mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, said it best: everything rises and falls on leadership. We hope to inspire you today and provide you with an insight that has the potential to positively impact the trajectory of your life. Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Hello, this is Coach BZ. And I'd like to know where you guys are joining us from. If you would please put it on the comment. And if you have a question for me, please go ahead and type it in the comment as well. So today is season 4, episode 4. We are going to be specifically talking about this article. Let me find it. An article I wrote. Let me get it really quick. It's about the leadership at the Helm. So here it is. You should see it on your screen. Leadership at the Helm, from Seaman recruit to Silicon Valley CISO. Why leadership is the skill of the century. A couple of years ago, I had written another article on Strix's 3 leadership lesson from a Navy commander. This one was written February 2021, so 4 years ago. And here also, I was saying why leadership was the most critical skill of the 21st century. So that hasn't changed. It's only more critical now with the age of AI and all of the emerging technologies we have out there. So at a very high level, what we are going to cover today, number one, welcome. So like I said yesterday, if you haven't seen it, go to the season 4 trailer AI. I'm going to be assisted by a few AI agents to manage this podcast going forward, and you are going to meet a couple of them today. But for the introduction, so I am Bob Zinga. I go by BZ. I am a U.S. Navy Information Warfare Commander, a leadership coach, and former CISO at Santa Clara University here in Silicon Valley. So I believe that leadership is the most crucial skills because today the world really needs leader. Things are going to change, technologies are going to change, a lot of processes are going to change in the midst of all of this chaos, right? Whether it is operation in the military or startup chaos in Silicon Valley, the one thing that's always going to be consistent, I believe, is leadership. That's what the world needs. That's what organizations want. So the first segment, I would like to stress out that leadership has really nothing to do with your title, okay? Your title doesn't make you a leader, or if it does, it's the lowest form of leadership possible, right? People are going to follow you because you are the paycheck, but they're not going to follow you because they actually want to, right? So there's a big difference. Influence is being able to have people do the right thing for the organization and follow after you, and even feel as if it's their own idea when it's you that is influencing them to do so. So you don't have to have a title, you don't have to have a position, but you can be influential within your circle of influence. So where can you lead even without a title today? Like in my own life, I started at the very bottom, as a PC tech assistant, all the way up to becoming a chief information security officer, and in the Navy as a Seaman recruit, E1, which is the lowest rank in the military, to becoming a senior officer, 05 commander, which is like in the top 4% of all military service members in the US. But to get started, you don't have a title, you don't have any authority, but you still need to be able to help to add value and to influence, again, the people around you. So the second segment, we're going to be talking about the skill AI cannot replace. We know that AI is pretty much taking over everything these days. But one thing AI cannot do, it can automate tasks, right? But it cannot replace human leadership. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I did a post on LinkedIn. It was I think it's called Impact Jobs in Antwerp, Belgium. They were building a building, so it was under construction, and the builders put a big sign. It was like Chat GPT. I bet you cannot finish this building, right? AI cannot become a plumber. They cannot start, putting mortar and bricks together, cannot do gardening or any of those. You still need human being to do all of those jobs, right? So, and it's also about trust, vision, and empathy. And machine cannot replicate that. They can pretend to, but they just can't. So, leading in a crisis, military operation, or startup chaos, you absolutely need to have human leadership, and that's why you, aspiring tech leader and military leader, I really want you to develop this skill, because it's really, I believe, the critical skill of the 21st century. So, what human leadership traits are you practicing right now? Then the next segment, we're going to be talking about pillars of leadership at VM. One, I talk about clarity and communication. So the mission is important, but clarity wins every day. You have to be very clear about what your mission is and what you need to do as a leader. And then you have to translate that to your direct report. They need to know exactly how they add value to the mission, the bigger mission of the organization. What is their small piece? And once they know that, then your people need to be empowered and they need to be accountable for that portion of the mission that you entrust them with, right? You have to trust your people. You have to set clear outcome. And that's one thing. It took me a little while to learn. Well, for those of you who are live with me on LinkedIn, please let me know where you are coming from. And then also type in a question for me if you have one. And then the third pillar is adaptability and resilience. You have to learn, pivot, and move forward. I came up with the 10 commandment of resilient leadership. I'm going to add a link in the comment for you to review it. Hopefully, I'm going to be publishing that book very soon. But yeah, these are things that you need to develop even before you have a title or a position of authority. And the fourth segment, I talk about diversity in leadership. So being one of the few minorities in the military and in tech, I've always been the only Black person in the room for the most part. Now I'm seeing more and more women, which is great, both in the military and in Silicon Valley. And we need to see more of that, more ethnic minority and more women in position of leadership in the military, in the tech world, and in all of the other sector, right? Because leadership is not about fitting in, it's about standing out by growing. You have to add value. So I encourage minorities, I encourage women to really seek those position of leadership, because I believe there is room for you at the very top. So how can you as a leader make space for others to lead? People who may not look like you, people with different background, not just about gender and race or ethnicity, but educational background, professional background. So you really need a team of diverse people with a different way at looking at a problem in order to be very effective and I believe to be more profitable as well. Again, yesterday I wrote an article. It just came out about the importance of diversity and how people who are really running away from DEI may be adding a lot more risk, not only legal but financial, but talent as well, right? Because a lot of people, especially Gen Zs, they really love to work in a diverse group of people. But anyway, diversity is still a driver for profitability and for business. So, and then the final segment will be about daily leadership growth. Right, leadership is a daily, not once in a year type of thing. Right, my mentor John Maxwell says that a lot. If he can look at what you do daily, right, he can predict your future. right? Because leadership is in what you do daily, not what you do once in a while. So I have started my leadership excellence, accountability, and devotion newsletter. Every single day, I write an article about leadership, and the one I just show you, leadership at the Helm, was one of those articles. So I would like for you to spend 5, 10, 20 minutes every day to read one of these articles. And I also, toward the end, normally I would mention 5 to 6 verses in the Bible related to what I talked about. Again, this is not religious or spiritual. This is really using the Bible just to look at leadership insight and give you a little bit of coaching to get your day started. So let me go back to so I want to encourage you to practice leadership every single day, develop one leadership skill or apply a principle every day. And it would be great if you came back to my LinkedIn site and tell me about it, and we can continue the discussion. Subscribe to the podcast as well, and then share with one aspiring leader. At this stage in my life and career, my real focus really is on the next generation, right, of information warfare officer, the next generation of Silicon Valley tech leaders. Right, I've been in the Navy for more than 20 years now. I've been doing tech for more than 26 years, and eventually, at some point, I'm going to need to retire. But what about the next generation of leaders? That is really where my focus and my passion is. Subscribe to the news letter. So you need to stay strong, stay humble, and keep leading. So now I am going to pass this off to my AI agent. I introduced them yesterday. Again, you can look for season 4 trailer AI, where I introduced the AI agent team that helped me produce the podcast. You are going to meet 2 of them, and they're going to give you a rundown of leadership at VM. Okay, up to you, agents.
Leadership.
That's the one.
We're taking a deep dive into this fascinating LinkedIn article by Bob Fabian Bizi-Zenga. And the title, it really tells a story in itself. Lead. Leadership at the helm. From Seaman recruit to Silicon Valley CISO. Why leadership is the skill of this century.
Quite a title.
It is. And the article traces his really remarkable journey, starting as a young junior enlisted sailor in the U.S. Navy. E1. Like bottom rung.
Ground zero.
Yeah. And climbing over 2 decades to become a Navy commander.
Right.
But at the same time, he's navigating this whole other path in the civilian world, started with basically zero tech experience.
Right.
And rises to become a cybersecurity executive, a CISO in Silicon Valley.
So our mission today really is to walk through this article with you. We want to pull out those core principles of leadership that he learned from these 2, incredibly different worlds.
Yeah, the military-structured hierarchical world.
And then the fast, sometimes kind of chaotic world of tech startups, surprisingly interconnected, though, as he shows.
And the main argument he puts out there right from the start, you just can't ignore it. Leadership isn't just your title. It's not the position on the org chart.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally about your character, what you do, the influence you have. And in this age of AI getting more and more powerful, well, he argues leadership is the ultimate force multiplier.
That's a powerful phrase. Force multiplier.
Yeah, it is. And it's something uniquely human.
Mm-hmm.
AI just can't replicate it. Think about empathy, right?
Yeah.
Real nuanced judgment in tricky situations. Having a vision that actually inspires people.
Yeah, algorithms don't do that. Not really. They don't feel empathy or, have that kind of forward-looking vision.
So that's the plan. We'll follow his journey, look at the lessons from the Navy, how they translated or maybe had to adapt for the tech world.
Right, especially the unique challenges of leading in startups. That's a whole different beast sometimes.
Definitely. And we'll get into servant leadership, mentorship, why diversity and inclusion are so critical now.
And he wraps up with some deeper reflections, too. Some really enduring wisdom.
So, yeah, get ready. We're going to explore why, even with AI doing more complex tasks, human leadership isn't fading away. It's actually becoming maybe more valuable than ever. Let's dive in.
Okay, so first off, let's tackle that big claim head on. Leadership as the most valuable skill of the 21st century. The article doesn't just throw that out there. There's a solid rationale behind it.
Yeah, grounded in what's happening right now with technology, the source totally acknowledges how fast things are moving. AI doing things. Wow, just a few years ago, unimaginable.
automating tasks, analyzing huge data sets instantly, even writing articles or creating images. It can definitely boost individual performance, help debug code, automate customer service.
All true. But the author's really clear, really firm on this point. AI cannot lead.
Right. It can process data, spot trends, optimize a workflow, sure. But empathy? No.
Exercising that truly human judgment in ambiguous situations, where ethics and values come in, unforeseen stuff, AI doesn't handle that well.
And it can't paint that compelling picture of the future, the kind that makes people genuinely want to unite and strive for something together. That's human connection.
That's where the ultimate force multiplier idea really lands. AI might make one person faster, maybe a small team on a specific task, more efficient.
But leadership, good leadership takes the potential of a whole group of people, all their different skills, their intelligence, their creativity, their willingness, and it just, boom, multiplies it.
A great leader turns a bunch of smart individuals into something much, much bigger than just the sum of their parts. Synergy, right?
Exactly. It's the difference between just having resources like people and tech. And actually knowing how to deploy them effectively towards something meaningful.
And doing it in a way that makes people want to give their best. AI can give you data for a decision.
But it can't build trust.
It can optimize a process.
But it can't inspire loyalty when things get really tough.
So the article makes it plain. When the going gets tough, when direction is fuzzy, when people need purpose, they look to people, not algorithms.
Right. They look to leaders.
So the big lesson here, pulled from his experience in both worlds, is crystal clear. Yes, absolutely. Master your craft, whatever it is. Cybersecurity, engineering, medicine, teaching.
Gotta have the skills.
You have to. But your growth as a leader, that's what will truly set you apart, especially now. When technical skills can be augmented or even automated.
That uniquely human skill of leadership becomes the real differentiator. It's that capacity for connection, inspiration, ethical judgment, resilience. That's the edge.
Technical skills get you in the door, maybe. But leadership helps you navigate the complex human stuff and actually succeed.
And right near the start of the article, the author poses this really important question. He wants you, the listener, to keep it in mind as we go through this.
Yeah, that's a good one. He asks, in this age of automation, how are you actively strengthening the uniquely human parts of your leadership?
That's something to chew on, isn't it? While we talk about his journey, maybe think about what concrete things you could do. Cultivating empathy, sharpening judgment, clarifying your vision, wherever you are right now.
It really frames the whole discussion.
Right.
Okay, so let's rewind. Back to the beginning of his story, the U.S. Navy.
Right. He starts as a 26-year-old seaman recruit. E1, absolute entry level.
Day one at Great Lakes Recruit Training Command. Imagine that. Thousands of recruits, seasoned instructors who know everything. And he knows basically nothing.
Total immersion, a world way bigger than just himself.
And the first big realization wasn't about, like, learning navigation or getting promoted fast. It was deeper. It was about responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility not just for himself, but for his shipmates, the people right next to him, and ultimately for the mission they were all there to do.
That shift from me to we, that's huge. You're part of a team. Shared purpose, shared risk. You have to contribute, look out for each other.
And a key lesson right from the start, even as the most junior guy on the deck, leadership wasn't about the rank on your collar.
Nope, not the insignia. It was about your character, your actions, every single day.
Even as an E1, he realized you could lead by example. How? Strong work ethic, maybe when others were slacking. Integrity, even when it was tough.
And being willing to help the people above you succeed. He mentions that phrase, make my bosses look good.
Which sounds a bit, I don't know, self-serving maybe.
It can sound that way, yeah. But when you think about it, it's really about teamwork. Upward leadership, they call it sometimes. It means your contribution helps your supervisor, which helps the team, which helps the unit. It's about boosting the whole chain of success from wherever you are. Shows you're invested.
Right, being reliable. Proactive. Someone your leaders can actually count on. That builds trust way faster than just waiting for orders or a promotion. Shows potential.
And from that E1 starting point, he puts in 2 decades. Rises through the ranks, goes to officer candidate school.
Go CS, yep.
And eventually makes Navy commander. 05. Silver Oak leaves. That's a serious crime. A lot of responsibility.
And along that path, he wasn't just learning from experience, he was actively seeking out wisdom, mentors, iconic leaders.
He mentions one quote that clearly hit home from General Colin Powell.
Powell, yeah.
Powell said, leadership is solving problems. Today's soldiers or sailors stop bringing you their problems is the day you have stopped leading them.
Wow, that really flips the script, doesn't it? Problems aren't failures.
Yeah.
They're proof you're still leading.
Exactly. If people aren't coming to you with challenges, it means they don't trust you'll help. Or worse, they're afraid you'll blame them.
So BZ took that to heart. As he moved up, especially in leadership roles, he made a point of being approachable.
He wanted sailors to feel safe coming to him, to trust he actually cared about their issues, big or small.
And crucially, that he'd tackle the problems with them, not just point fingers or punish them for speaking up, work towards a solution together.
That trust, it's everything. It means problems get surfaced early before they blow up, empowers the whole team.
A huge milestone was getting selected for commanding officer duty. AO.
That's a big deal in the military. You're not just leading a team, you're ultimately responsible for everything in your unit. Performance, safety, morale, the whole 9 yards.
The buck stops there.
Absolutely. And in that role, that crucible of command, he discovered something critical. Humility and accountability go hand in hand.
He quotes Admiral James Stavridis, another big Navy name, Stavridis said, "The higher you climb, the more humility you need to stay effective."
Seems backwards, maybe. More power, more authority. Shouldn't you be less humble?
You'd think. But when you're responsible for everything, you realize pretty quick you don't have all the answers. You depend completely on your team, their skills, their effort, their insights.
Recognizing that dependence, valuing their input, being open to learning from anyone, regardless of rank, that takes real humility.
And the Navy hammered home accountability and command. You own every single outcome. If a sailor messes up, the CO looks in the mirror first.
Right. What could I have done better? Better training, clearer guidance. What did I miss?
And when the unit nails it, achieves something great, credit goes to the team, not the CO.
That's it. Taking ownership of failures to learn. Deflecting praise for success to build the team up. That's accountability. That's servant leadership in action.
And through all the tough stuff, deployments, crises, long hours, he leaned on the Navy's core values. Honor, courage, commitment.
Not just words on a poster. A lived code. A framework for making hard calls under pressure. Provided that internal compass.
Builds external trust, too. Your team sees your actions match your words, especially when things are difficult.
Which brings us right to that second reflection question from the source.
Yeah.
Something for you listening to think about. Do your people feel safe bringing you problems?
Yeah, really think about that. Are you actually approachable? Or are there subtle signals that discourage people from speaking up about mistakes or challenges?
And how can you actively foster that culture of open communication, of trust? What's one small thing you could do this week?
Good question. Okay, so after 20 years in the Navy, he makes this huge pivot. Civilian tech world.
And just like the Navy, he starts at the bottom again. PC tech assistant. Basically no real professional tech experience.
Back to square one. Surrounded by brilliant engineers, cybersecurity pros, people with years of experience he just didn't have.
But those secret weapons from the Navy, they still applied. Maybe even more so. What were they? Relentless learning attitude.
Check.
And that deep-seated willingness to serve the team.
He mentions Dr. John C. Maxwell here, calls him Papa John, Maxwell's teaching. Your attitude will determine your altitude. That became a mantra.
And it was the total opposite of that cynical Navy joke, maybe V.
Yeah.
Never again volunteer yourself.
Right. He chose the opposite path. He actively said yes. Put his hand up for the tough problems, the messy stuff others avoided.
That willingness. Stepping into the unknown, taking on tasks others shied away from. That was huge.
And how did he learn? By listening more than talking, asking humble questions, showing he was there to help solve problems, not just, clock in and out.
In doing that, he didn't just pick up the tech skills fast. He built a reputation. Reliable, valuable, someone who gets things done.
That foundation, attitude, service, quiet competence, it propelled him forward. Senior security engineer, information security manager at big places like Groupon.
Right, then into executive roles. Fractional CISO for multiple companies, then head security and IT at AI startups, directly.
Not exactly a straight line, I bet. And tech, especially startup, it's a different leadership vibe, isn't it?
Totally. Less about grand vision sometimes. More about intense execution, adapting on the fly, building team culture from scratch.
He talks about a mistake early on at Pivotal, coming from the military, where orders are generally followed.
He figured his title, head of security or whatever, meant people would just do what he said. He'd send out emails about new security policies.
Expecting instant compliance.
Got crickets, silence, emails ignored, passive resistance.
Ouch. Hard lesson.
Big time. The lesson.
Yeah.
Especially in tech culture, with smart, independent engineers. Authority isn't just given with the title. It has to be earned.
You can't just command people. You got to influence, persuade.
Which led him to completely change his approach. Adopted this servant leadership playbook.
So instead of emails from on high,
He went to the engineers,
Yeah.
physically, sat down at their desks, not to check up, but to ask real questions.
like what?
Like, hey, what's blocking you right now? How can I actually help you, not get in your way? How do we make security feel seamless for you, not like another hoop to jump through?
That's a total shift in posture.
Right.
From enforcement.
To enablement, right?
Like,
Understanding their world, supporting their success, not just dropping rules on them.
It reminds me of that Ken Blanchard quote he included. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority.
Exactly. And it worked. Focusing on influence, understanding, support, it totally changed the dynamic. No more standoffs.
They started collaborating.
Yeah. Engineers began proactively coming to him before launching stuff. They saw security not as the no police, but as partners, helping them build better, safer products.
That adaptability, that resilience, you need it in tech. He mentions coordinating security at Groupon. Huge global company moving fast.
Long hours, tough calls, those 2 a.m. fire drills,
Yeah.
security incidents happen.
And panic doesn't help.
Not one bit. He brings in Tony Robbins here. Identify your problems, but give your power and energy to solutions. Panic solves nothing. Action does. Stay calm. Find the path forward.
And amidst all that technical intensity, growing the business, there's another key reminder he picked up from Darren Hardy.
Oh yeah, this is important, Hardy says. It's easy to be distracted by the job of growing your business, but never forget that your job as a leader is also to grow people.
Back to that servant leadership core again. He realized his most crucial job wasn't just the security strategy. It was investing just as much, maybe more, in his team.
Developing their skills, their confidence, their careers, building a strong, capable team of security pros. He saw that as his real legacy, more lasting than any single project.
Makes sense. Your people are your biggest asset.
Which leads to reflection question number 3 from the source. Are you mostly relying on your title, your position, your expertise to get things done?
Or, how could you lean more into influence, empathy, genuine support, empowering your team instead of just directing them?
Big difference between telling people what to do because you're the boss and actually engaging them, understanding them, enabling them. Which one works better long term?
Food for thought. Okay, shifting focus slightly, startup leadership specifically.
Right. The source kind of challenges that romantic visionary founder myth. You know, the brilliant idea and boom, success.
Yeah, reality is a bit messier. Vision is vital, sure, but it doesn't build the company on its own.
Startup leadership, as BZ experienced it, requires sweating the details, doing the unglamorous work nobody else wants to.
Listening maybe more than talking, especially to the folks doing the actual work.
Having the guts to communicate hard truths openly, holding yourself and others accountable, and just being resilient, bouncing back.
The source lists some specific hard truths he learned. First one, execution beats ideation.
Oh yeah, a brilliant idea stuck in a meeting room, worthless.
Totally. The leader's job is to bridge that gap. Brainstorming to doing.
His practical example,
Yeah.
always asking the team, okay, great plan now, who will do what by when?
Simple question, but powerful. Forces clarity, assigns ownership, turns talk into action, fights that analysis paralysis.
Second hard truth, communication is your lifeline, especially in startups. Things change hourly. Silos, assumptions, fatal.
People end up working on the wrong things or duplicating effort. Chaos.
Which is why he stresses over-communicating. Plans, risks, decisions, changes, even drawing stuff on whiteboards so everyone's literally on the same page.
Constant, transparent communication builds trust, keeps everyone aligned. Crucial when you're moving that fast.
Third hard truth, accountability starts at the top. You want a culture of ownership. You got to model it yourself first.
He gives a great example. He messed up, misconfigured a system, caused an outage.
Instead of hiding it or blaming someone, he owned it completely. Told the whole team what happened, why, and what they would do together to prevent it next time.
Wow, that sets a powerful tone. If the leader owns their mistakes, everyone else feels safer admitting theirs. Learning becomes the focus, not blame.
Exactly. And the fourth hard truth, resilience is non-negotiable. Startups are roller coasters, big wins, crushing lows, contracts fall through, funding gets shaky, tech breaks.
You need that grit, that mental toughness to adapt, bounce back, keep moving forward, with optimism, even when it's hard.
Brings back General Powell. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. A leader's positive, determined attitude. It's infectious. It helps the whole team push through.
Keep focusing on solutions, not just the problem. Refuse to let setbacks define you. Always look for the next step forward.
Which sets up the fourth reflection question. Do you consistently execute on your ideas? Turn them into reality.
And maybe more telling, how do you react when things go wrong? Is your first instinct blame? Or resilience and accountability?
Your reaction in those tough moments.
Yeah.
It says a lot about your leadership character, doesn't it?
Definitely. Okay, let's circle back to that core philosophy he keeps mentioning, servant leadership.
Right. Seems like a paradox, maybe. Serving others makes you stronger.
But the argument, based on his whole journey, is clear. When you prioritize your team's growth, their well-being, their success, you naturally build a higher performing team. Mission success follows.
He quotes Les Brown. Help others achieve their dreams and you will achieve yours. Not just feel-good stuff, he says. He's seen it work. Navy and tech.
He remembers the best Navy leaders. They lived this, ate last, listened first, wouldn't ask sailors to do things they wouldn't do themselves.
Leading from the front, but putting the team's needs first. He tried to model that.
And in the corporate world, it's more than just saying, my door is open. It's the attitude behind it, genuinely valuing what your analysts, your engineers, your junior folks think, making them feel heard.
Because when you empower others, let them shine. Take initiative. You're multiplying the whole organization's capability exponentially.
This connects to another Maxwell quote he highlights. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
So important. Technical skill matters, especially in security. But genuine care, that earns loyalty. Commitment. People go in the extra mile, way more than just being the smartest person in the room.
People follow leaders they trust, leaders they believe actually care about them as people.
And a huge piece of this servant leadership, mentorship, coaching, and doing it without being afraid they'll surpass you.
Yeah, he contrasts that with those insecure managers who hoard information, hoard opportunities because they're scared of being outshone.
His approach, the opposite. Actively mentor junior staff, share knowledge freely, create opportunities for them to grow. And here's the key. He expected and encouraged them to outgrow him, to climb higher.
That takes confidence and a different view of success.
Totally. It's not about personal ego. It's about impact, legacy. Their success isn't a threat. It's proof you planted good seeds. You're creating other leaders. That's a powerful legacy.
Way beyond just your own individual achievements.
So the fifth reflection question from the source is very practical. In your current role right now, what's one concrete thing you can do this week to genuinely serve a colleague or team member?
Doesn't have to be huge, right? Could be just listening better, offering help without being asked, sharing something you learned, amplifying someone else's contribution, making it real.
Which leads right into the next theme. Lifelong learning and mentorship are crucial. No leader is an island, the source says. Success is built on others.
And BC describes himself as a leadership nerd, always learning, books, articles, podcasts, constantly consuming information.
And actively seeking mentors. Every stage. Military and tech. He wasn't afraid to ask for help or guidance.
He mentions influences like Brian Tracy, Robin Sharma, Powell again, Admiral Stavridis.
He flags a Robin Sharma quote. Leadership is not about a title or a designation. It's about impact, influence, and inspiration. Reinforces that shift away from chasing titles.
Towards earning influence by making a positive impact and inspiring people. Yeah.
And Brian Tracy offers a similar vision. Become the kind of leader that people would follow voluntarily, even if you had no title or position.
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Leadership based purely on respect and influence, earned through who you are and what you do, not just because of where you sit on the org chart.
Beyond the famous names, he also talks about how fortunate he was with in-person mentors, senior officers, tech execs, community leaders.
He gives an example. CAPT Joel Rothschild in the Navy taught him strategic thinking, disciplined execution, integrity. Others helped him navigate tricky corporate politics without losing his way.
These mentors weren't just advice givers. They helped him see further, avoid mistakes, grow faster than he could have alone.
And because mentorship meant so much to him, he's deeply committed to paying it forward. Mentoring others now.
And here's the explicit link he makes. If you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you can't lead to your full potential. Simple as that.
Leadership demands continuous self-improvement. The best leaders, they stay curious, coachable. They know they don't know everything.
They read constantly, like Admiral Stavridis said, leaders must be readers. They ask for feedback, even the tough stuff. They never think they've arrived.
Which brings up reflection question number 6. Who are your leadership role models? People you know, figures you admire.
And thinking about them, what's one specific lesson you've learned from their example that you can consciously try to apply starting today? Makes it actionable.
Yeah, taking inspiration and turning it into practice. Good stuff. Now there's another passion that really shines through in the article.
Yes, his commitment to diversity and inclusion in leadership, especially in the military and tech.
He speaks from personal experience, right? Often being one of the few. The only Black officer in the room, one of few veterans in Silicon Valley.
And that experience fuels this drive to make sure the next generation of leaders in those fields looks a lot more like the society they serve.
His core belief, leadership ability has nothing to do with gender, skin color, background. It's about mindset, character, heart set, internal qualities.
So there's this clear call in the article. We need more women, more people of color, more people from all different walks of life stepping up into leadership, military and tech.
And the reason isn't just fairness, though that's huge. It's also about performance.
Right. Diverse teams just perform better. Different perspectives spark innovation, solve complex problems more effectively, catch blind spots. It's a strategic advantage.
He directly addresses women and underrepresented minorities listening. There is room for you at the top. It's an encouragement. Recognize your potential. Claim your seat. Commit to the growth needed.
He acknowledges it might be tougher for some, extra obstacles, feeling like an outsider, needing to prove yourself more.
But the message is empowering. Your voice, your perspective, your leadership, they're not just nice to have, they are needed. Essential for stronger organizations, a better world.
His practical advice: seek mentors and allies who believe in you, who will champion you, and invest in your own development shamelessly, he says. Take charge of it.
Don't wait for permission. He uses a Jack Canfield quote. Everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Yeah, don't let fear of not fitting the mold, imposter syndrome, stop you from climbing. Your difference is actually a strength.
And his own involvement in groups creating opportunities for women, minorities in cybersecurity. It shows he walks the talk. He believes everyone is stronger when leadership is diverse.
It's not a zero-sum game, he argues. Leadership is a team sport. When one of us rises, we can lift others as we climb. Everyone wins when more voices lead.
Which leads to the 7th reflection question. Beyond just agreeing diversity is good, what concrete steps can you take in your world to actively support diverse talent moving into leadership?
Could you mentor someone whose potential might be overlooked? Champion their work. Create opportunities. Make it personal action.
Yeah, move from passive agreement to active support. Okay, finally, the article has this interesting section near the end called Think on These Things.
Right. This offers maybe a deeper layer. Draws on enduring wisdom. He frames it using some biblical perspectives, applying them to the leadership challenges we've been talking about.
It gives a foundational lens on things like vision, wisdom, action, integrity. Let's quickly touch on each.
Okay. First, vision, referencing Proverbs. The insight. Without vision, people drift. Vision is the why. Paints the future. Needs to be clear enough for others to run with it without you micromanaging.
The prompt asks, what future are you painting? Is it clear? Compelling? Can people own it? Connects back to execution.
Second, wisdom, from James. Insight. Leadership needs wisdom, not just smarts. Applying knowledge soundly. Seek it humbly. Mentors, advisors, spiritual grounding before big decisions. Seeking wisdom is strength.
The prompt, when did you last consciously seek wisdom, not just answers? And what did you do with it? Highlights the difference.
Third, light, from Matthew. Insight. Leadership is being a light for others. Not self-promotion, but illuminating the path through your character, work ethic, service, influence built by consistency, even in the dark.
The prompt, what part of your leadership lights the path? Are you casting shadows or showing the way by example? Makes you examine your impact.
Fourth, action, from Nehemiah. Insight, turning burden into blueprint, vision into execution, moving from just being concerned to taking initiative. Building something addresses that execution gap again.
The prompt, what broken wall needs rebuilding around you? What's your next concrete move to turn concern into action? Calls for initiative.
Fifth, counselors. From Proverbs, insight. Wise leaders build boards, not bubbles. Surround yourself with diverse, trusted advisors. Avoid echo chambers. Collaboration leads to wiser decisions, protects against blind spots.
The prompt, who speaks into your blind spots? Truth tellers or comfort givers? Challenges you to assess your circle. needs diverse thought.
And finally, patience action. From Ecclesiastes, insight. Waiting for perfect conditions leads to paralysis. Analysis paralysis kills action. Sometimes you just have to start where you are with what you have. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction.
The prompt. What decision are you delaying, waiting for perfect clarity? What's one action, even small, you can take today? Challenges procrastination.
These points, they offer a really solid, maybe timeless foundation for all the practical leadership stuff we discussed. Connects the how to the why. Purpose, integrity, community, action.
Yeah, a holistic view transcends industries, roles.
So let's try and wrap this up. The big message, the really empowering one from this whole deep dive. Leadership isn't exclusive, not for the chosen few.
It's a choice, a craft, something anyone can learn and get better at. Doesn't matter where you are right now, title or no title.
The path starts with leading yourself, right? Discipline, empathy, integrity, being someone people would want to follow.
Then it's about leading sideways, influencing peers, leading upwards, influencing bosses, through example, insight, service.
People notice. Consistent effort, taking responsibility, especially when it's hard, lifting others up. That's how real influence grows from anywhere.
And ultimately, the article suggests your influence is your legacy. Not the titles you held, but who you helped grow, the team you built, the community you made better.
Mentoring others, putting people first, prioritizing the mission. Those are the things that last.
And Beezy's own journey. E1 recruit and help desk intern to Navy commander and Silicon Valley CISO. It's living proof this growth is possible for anyone willing to commit to the craft.
It's really an invitation, isn't it? See the leader in yourself and in others. The source ends with a call to action. Reflect honestly on these questions. Where can you grow? Commit to the journey.
Because the world needs that human connection, judgment, vision, more than ever. The 21st century needs your leadership.
So thinking about everything we've covered, Navy values, tech realities, servant leadership, mentorship, diversity, that deeper wisdom. Here's a final thought for you to take away. What single tangible commitment will you make this week to intentionally practice just one of these leadership principles in your own life, your own work, wherever you are right now?
Could be small. Listening with more empathy, seeking wisdom before deciding, amplifying an overlooked voice. The journey starts with one conscious step, right? Building that crucial 21st century skill, one action at a time.
All right, that's it. So this was the podcast made by my AI agent, and I hope you got something out of it. And if you have any question for me, type them in the comment section. I don't see anything from YouTube or LinkedIn. We are broadcasting live right now. So again, I would like to thank all of you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. And hopefully what I am saying, what I'm writing, the podcast I'm publishing, really adding some value to you, especially for those aspiring leaders, especially those in the military and in the tech world. All right, until next time, this is Coach Busy. Next, you should see AI version of season 4, episode 1 with Coach Enrique Acostas Gonzalez, and episode 2 with my mentor, Chris Robinson, and then episode 3, which we recorded yesterday live with Colonel GI. Those shorter AI enhanced and facilitated episode, kind of like this one, should be published by this weekend. So until next time, this is Coach Busy, and thank you so much for spending your morning with me. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our channels and come back for more wisdom nuggets on how you may develop into a better leader and achieve greater levels of success. Leadership is the most critical skill. The world will always need leaders to lead others, deploy the next disruptive technology, or execute a business strategy. You may as well decide on counting yourself among the 21st century leaders. See you right here next time on the Leadership and Success Podcast with